Pinup, a style of gentle eroticism in motion. The culture of pinup girls gained popularity in the early 20th century and lasted until the 80s and even the 90s. It includes both real photos of celebrities, who were considered sex symbols at the time, and pictures depicting idealized versions of what, in the artist's opinion, a beautiful and attractive woman should look like. American illustrator Gil Elvgren became one of the most significant and commercially successful artists specializing in pinup and became famous thanks to him. His girls were not fatal mistresses who break men's hearts. He tried to show innocent girls from the next street, whose attractiveness is unexpectedly revealed when we catch them off guard in various embarrassing situations. This collection features some of the artist's works, side by side with photographs of the real girls from whom they were drawn. Amazing pinup pictures that led to a sexual revolution. Pinup is a style of gentle eroticism that emerged in the United States at the beginning of the 20th century. Girls were depicted as sweet, exciting candies, the colorful wrapper of which was only slightly opened. The drawings delighted with bright colors and the fact that the depicted characters seemed to be addressing the one who was looking at them. Moreover, these girls seemed to be his neighbors, saleswomen from a nearby store, girlfriends, or even lovers. They were engaged in everyday activities, watering flowers, riding a bicycle, knocking down a doghouse, sliding down a children's slide. At the same time, their skirts were constantly playfully lifted up and sometimes you could see their panties. Americans, and along with them, Europeans, who were not burdened by culture, bought up millions of publications containing such creations. The people clearly lacked sex and erotic freedom. Soldiers and truck drivers suffered especially from this. The model donut Betty Grable warmed the hearts of American soldiers on the fronts of World War II, inspired them to feats and helped them survive. Betty received tens of thousands of letters with love confessions and descriptions of the erotic fantasies of formidable soldiers. Pages with girls were gladly cut out of magazines and calendars and pinned to the walls of rooms, bars, and truck cabs. Hence, in fact, the name of the style, pinup, to pin up. By the way, some pinup models are credited with starting the sexual revolution in the United States, for example, Betty Page, who became a sex symbol of America on a par with Marilyn Monroe. One of the first artists who worked in the pinup style was Charles Dan Gibson. Even the term Gibson girls arose. But if Gibson painted his beauties without photographing them beforehand, subsequent generations of pinup artists used photography with all their might. For example, the famous pinup master Gil Elvgren used his own photographs to create paintings. As models, he used actresses, models, fashion models, and even photographed his wife, who did not quite fit the pinup standards. Gil Elvgren carefully transferred the image to the canvas with oil paints. The artist's skill was manifested in the fact that he made an ordinary woman, even not very attractive, into a sexual generalized symbol that satisfied everyone without exception. Painted pinup existed and developed in parallel with the photographic one, and for a long time these two directions did not compete with each other. Companies that made calendars willingly used both photographs and painted pinup to design their products. The decisive turn from painted pinup to photography was in 1964, when the manufacturer Pirelli made the first branded calendar of its company, which produces automobile tires. Robert Freeman, who worked as a photographer with the Beatles, together with the company's art director developed a calendar that marked the beginning of photographic pinup. Nowhere, except in the States, did anything similar to the explosion of pinup happen. And it's no wonder, where else did beauties start their careers with titles like Miss Bay Beach 1956 or Oklahoma Corn Queen 1949, and giant corporations understood that there was nothing better than a half-naked blonde for advertising cigarettes and motor oils.